spread of the magazine. So now we'll look at the cover of the magazine. So remember when I was downloading from Moodle, I downloaded the cover IDML file. So I've got that here, front cover. So it's called iMagazine Template Front Cover, IDML. And then together with that, I also downloaded these two files as well. iMagazine Logo BMP, which means bitmap file. You don't really need to know why it's saved in that way. All you need to know is what you can do with it. So I'm telling you that BMP is a bitmap, but you don't really need to kind of remember that. And iMagazine strapline. So they're the two things, logo and the strapline, that when we now open the iMagazine front cover, which I'm doing now, and it'll open up in InDesign. Any second now, will be well. You'll see where that logo and where that strapline go. And there they are. So that's the template when you open it. It's incredibly boring because there's nothing on it apart from the two things. So this is the iMagazine logo. So I've put that in place ready. And this is the strap line that runs up the side. And if we look at an actual real magazine like this one, again, you can see I've done that in the same place. So the iMagazine logo is here, where it is. And this strap line that runs up here is the strap line we've got. And it doesn't matter that this is, we're now on issue 102. You can just keep that one saying 99. You don't have to change that. So it'll stay as this, 99. And as you see, that's it. That's all that needs to go on the front. The rest of it is an image that you choose that your designer has worked on. So obviously, Victoria, you'll have one of David Carson's images on the front. Dorothy will have some Peter Saville work. Grace will be looking at Paul Rand. Tram was looking at Milton Glaser. So again, that's the focus of the cover, is your designer that you're going to have on there. Now, this is an image. Now, these are letters, obviously, but and it says, you know, but they've used that as a kind of form of image. If you look, hold that one up, Dorothy. What's on the cover of that one? If you hold it up so we can see it, what's on the front. So again, that one we've got, because it's issue 101, wasn't it? So we've got the big 101, and then we've got about 3 or 4 pictures on that one as well. So rather than one image, it's kind of got several on it. So when you're coming to doing this, it can be that your cover just has one big image here. So again, let's say, for instance, if I was designing this and I'm doing it for my trees, not that trees would ever be in iMagazine, let's say I've got to do a cover, then one way I could do that is, and it works the same way. So on this, we've got, just checking, I think I've already got yeah. So I've already put a picture box here for you. So this pink that you can see is here. If I can move that off, see? I've already put that there as a layer. So there's already a pink layer. Just because it's pink, it doesn't need to be. I can make it white. It is, now it's white. So that's our picture box that I've already put there. Okay. So again, like before, if you remember, so with InDesign open and it there, we go to our folder where our images are. For now, obviously, if I was doing this properly, I'd find another picture of a tree, because I don't want to use the same picture I might have used on one of the spreads. But for now, I'll just use one of these pictures. So I'm going to take tree 2, because I know that's a big picture, and I'm going to drag it down and drop it there, and you can see that it's done. So it's dropped itself onto the cover. So we now have an iMagazine cover with a nice picture of a tree on it. But again, what's happened to that picture? What's it automatically done to the picture? It's squeezed it, hasn't it? So we've got a very tall, thin tree because it's been squeezed. So we don't want that. So again, the way that you check whether an image is squeezed or not is we go on this second arrow down. So not the top arrow, but this second arrow, which is the content arrow. Click on the image, and then we look at these numbers up here. And these should be the same, because this is the proportion of the width and the height. So if they're slightly different, it means it's either been squashed, or it's been stretched, or it's too wide. So they're not the same, they are different. So I'm going to make these just for, again, you can type any numbers in this. I'm going to type 3232. That does that. And it puts it like that. And that's all right, but I'm only seeing half a tree there. So again, remember that thing where the picture box, which is our full cover, is the whole picture, contains the image. And the image we can move anywhere within this picture box. So again, going down to the second arrow, which is our content arrow. If I click on this and hold it, you can see where there's the whole image. I'm moving it around, and I can move it anywhere within this space. So if I want it to be nicely in the middle, I can leave it about there. Let go, and that's what my cover looks like. Okay, I might want it to be on one, so I might want to be a bit cheeky and do it more. You know, I could have it half a tree if I wanted, about there. You know, could do that. That looks quite interesting, doesn't it? Sometimes, I mean, you wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't expect a photograph to look like that, to kind of cut the tree in half and then look at nothing and look at there's some cows or something in the distance. But I might go a bit halfway, so I might just leave it about there. Because I've got a logo here, what I'm going to do is move the tree away from the logo, just so it kind of feels as if it's a bit more balanced. Three things there are working quite nicely, aren't they? So we've got a picture of a tree, the logo, and then the strap lines here. Now, that would work. We can press W, remember, and that takes all the guides away. That's what it would look if I printed this out as a cover. That's what my cover would look like. Press W again, and the guides come back on. The other thing I'm now going to check is if this is as crisp, as it doesn't look as crisp as it maybe could. Let's go to View, Display Performance. So it is on high quality, yeah, so that must be fine. But I'm not very happy about having this as a black logo, because it looks a bit dull, doesn't it? Black is a dull colour. It's not a very nice colour. What colour should we make the logo? White? Do you think white? Like a cloud in the sky? Yeah. So because this is a bitmap image, and again, that's already there. So when you open your IDML cover file, these images will already be there. So you haven't got to move them, make them smaller, put them in. I've already put them there for you. So the way we color them up, again, is this is already in its own little picture box. This is. So when you click on it with that, you can see it draw that little box. It's already in its own little box. So the logo, in the same way that the tree is the picture within the picture box. So on this one, the logo is the picture within its own picture box. So again, the way we want to control that then is to go on the second arrow. But what we're going to do now, we're not going to move the logo around, because if we do that, we could end up in a pickle, because if we move it too far, we can see we start to lose some of it because it's moving outside of its picture box. So we don't want to do that. We'll put that back where it was. What we can do with this arrow is to change the color, because it's a bitmap file. And you change the color by, again, either here we've got this little black square, or down here on the right we've got it again when it says fill next to it. And basically what that is, that's telling us that currently this logo is this color, and it allows us to change it. So if we click on the black box, double click on the black box, sorry, you get a whole area where you can choose a different color. So again, we can move these little lines up here, so we've got any color that we want. So if we want white, we can choose white. In fact, what we do, we go here. So again, there's white there. Click on that, and the logo goes white. If we wanted yellow, we can make it yellow. If we wanted pink, we can make it pink. It's as easy as that. So we don't have to go to the trouble of opening the logo up somewhere else, making it a different color, bringing it back in. We can just change it because it's saved as a bitmap file. That's what that allows us to do. Again, any color that you've got here, basically that wouldn't work because we can't see it. But any color that you want it to be, you can change it to. Now it might be when you look at this, sometimes you open this. These are all the colors that you get when you first open a new document. you get the basic colours. So we've got our primary colours and our secondary colours there. We haven't got any more. We've got black and white and that's it. So if we wanted, we haven't really got an orange. Let's say we wanted to do it orange. So you can make a new colour and you click on right at the top of this. This is called the colour palette box. There's 3 little lines. Click on that. And the first thing at the very top is new colour swatch. You click on that. And this is where we can now choose to make a new colour. And if we know from our, so again, you can choose to do it by sliding these different sliders, and you can see what the colour in this box is the colour that we're making. So currently, if we just add yellow, that would just go from white to yellow. If we added blue, obviously, the yellow would go green. If we added magenta, which is a red colour, that would go redder. If we add black, obviously, it's going to make it go dull until we ultimately get black. So for orange, it's all the yellow, 100 yellow, and about half the magenta up to about 50. That makes a nice orange there. And we can OK that, and that's now saved that. It's gone orange. And if we look at our picture book, if we look at our colours, you can see now that it's actually added it, because we made a new colour, it's added it. And then when we save this document, which I'm going to do now, I'll save as. I'm going to call this one cover 2, just so it's separate in my trees folder, save. Now I've saved that, the next time I open it, that orange colour will still be there because I've made that. Same thing, we can do exactly the same with this strap line. So because this strap line is a bitmap file, again, second arrow down, content arrow, click on it once, and then go over here, and I can make that orange, or I can make it pink, or I can make it white, or whatever colour I want this to be. And it's as easy as that. So what's important for you, now what I might like to do is actually, I'd like this to be green to kind of match the tree. So it might be I'll make it green, and I'll make the logo green. So now I've kind of got a lot of green going on. So if you like a tint, like a light, yeah. So you don't solid. Then what you can do here is you see where it says tint at the side here. So at the moment that says tint 100. That means it's 100% solid. It's as bright as it can be. If you bring this down, and again there's a little slider here, and you see what's happening to the colour. So if we got it all the way to 0, it'll be white. And then, so that logo goes from white all the way up green. So again, it might be like, say you want a tint, you might want it to be about that. Or you might want it, obviously it stands out better the lighter it is. But that allows you to then have a tint of that colour, which is kind of quite nice as well. So you can do that. So when you look at bringing your David Carson, Peter Saville, Paul Rand, Milton Glaser image onto your front cover, it might be you want to make your logo a colour that matches one of the colours in your main logo. That might be a nice link to do. They kind of haven't done it, they've kind of done it here a little bit maybe, in that there's a little bit of pink in this picture here, isn't there? They've kind of made this pink maybe because it kind of matches with that. This one not too much, but this one they decided just to make the logo shiny and silver. There's no silver on this, they've just decided to do it. So again, you don't have to always match your logo to the image, but sometimes it's quite nice to do that because it kind of brings everything together. And that's kind of where we're up to. So again, it's a lot easier. So when you think of all the time we spent looking at the spread this morning, there's a lot to do, a lot to think about, a lot to move around. With the cover, you've kind of got, well, one picture I'll do, and then I'll change my logo colour. You can, if you wanted to, you could make the cover up of 2 pictures. So it might be, you think, well, I'm going to have 2 pictures on my front cover. So what you can do there is we've got one here. So let's just, for now, we bring this across. So again, what we'll do before I do that, actually, I'm going to bring a guide in. So you see, when you click on this picture, it gives us these little white squares. That square there is absolutely in the middle. So going back over to my black ruler on this side, I can click on this and drag it across, and by holding down the mouse I'm bringing a guide over, and I'm going to put that guide through that white square there. So now I've made a guide straight down the middle of the cover. And what I'm going to do now, that's my middle point, is going back on my top arrow, because I'm going to move things around. I'm going to take the edge of this picture and move it to that middle point. So now I've only got half a cover, I've only got one half a picture, and I'm going to go on my content arrow, second arrow, click on this and move it across. So I see some more of my tree about there. So that's going to be my tree picture there. And then I'm going to bring another tree picture in here. So again, what I can do is go on my picture box tool, which is the one with the cross, draw a new picture box in this space, and again go then on my top arrow and just move the corners so they're perfectly at the top and at the side and at the bottom. And now what I'm going to do is bring my other tree picture into that box, which is tree 1, slide him in and let him go, and he's there. Now this one I'm going to have to make a bit bigger because this one's obviously far too small, so I need to make these numbers a lot bigger now. So click on the content arrow, my second arrow, and it's 100, so I need to go maybe on this one about 300. And then see, is that big enough? Yeah, that should be all right. And I can again, so I'm holding down with my content arrow, I'm moving it around within that picture box till I get, I think I'll have that one about there. I go there, and you can see now, if I now press W, you can see what that would look like if I printed it out. Now, big problem I've got there, can't see my logo anymore, can we? So I need to change the color of that. So again, I go on my second arrow down, content, click on the logo, and I think let's make it, let's go back to white. So that's white, and let's make, click on the strap line, click on white, and now we can kind of see that and that. And that then could be our cover if I wanted to bring two pictures. Obviously, I haven't really thought about this because my pictures don't really go together, do they? It'd be nice maybe if I could try and make it, what I could do actually, let's try this. I'm going to try and do one where if I make this other tree a lot bigger, so if I make that, I try and have one tree image made of two trees. Let's see if I can do that. So again, move this one there. So again, and this is how you can work in InDesign. You can just play around with it. So I'm now going to have this tree going about through the middle like that. And I'm going to click on this tree now in this side. Have it through the middle like that. So I've kind of got now, it's not perfect obviously, and I've probably looked for different pictures of trees. But see the way I've tried to create one tree out of two different trees going on. And again, none of this is really anything to do with what you're doing, which is researching designers, but it's ways that you can play around with the spread and play around with how it works. And you could see that kind of, it looks a bit interesting, doesn't it? So again, it might be you do want to bring two pieces of work together. It might be, this is going even further now, that we bring our guides back, W, there they are again. I'm going to put a horizontal guide in now. So again, if I click on this picture here, I know this is the middle because there's a little white square there. So drag a line down from there. That gives me my quarters. I'm actually going to, with this picture here, first of all, I'm going to copy that whole picture box. So I'm going to go edit, copy, edit, paste. And that's given me two of those picture boxes. So that's that picture box just twice. Just got it there and there. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Edit, copy, edit, paste. And that's given me two of that one. So I've now got four picture boxes. And what I'm going to do with them is this one, I'm going to make a top half one. And I'm going to make a bottom half one. And this one, I'm going to make a top half one and a bottom half one. So I've now got 4 pictures, and what I'm going to do is just, again, this is the way that you can just move things around in InDesign. I'm going to actually cheekily put that there and that there and mix it up so it's all gone a bit odd. What would look even better is if I could make these 2 trunks meet, wouldn't it? And I can, because in InDesign you can flip things. So what I'm going to do now, this picture box here, because I want my trunk to be in the middle, not on the edge, these 2 triangles up at the top here, if I click on that, it flips it. So that can now go there. And this one, my other one here, again, triangles at the top, click on it, flips it, and see where it's gone. Sometimes it flips them and they go. You need to see where, oh, I think it went under that one. That's where it went. Sometimes when you flip it, yeah, it's gone under that one. So we have to bring him out. There he is, hiding. And now I can bring that one there and there. So I've kind of done a thing there where I've cheated and I've flipped things, but I've now got, it's even more interesting in that I've kind of made a checkerboard effect, which kind of works quite nicely. There is something, if I press W now, it makes it more clear. What's gone a little bit wrong, though, with that cover? Why is that not right at the minute on the cover, if it was going to be a real cover? Something that's not right. Yeah, what's happened to it? It doesn't matter because it's gone behind this picture, hasn't it? So again, you remember that thing we said about think of this as pieces of paper that are moving on a table. Sometimes one piece of paper goes behind another and you can't see it. So what we need to do is make sure always when you're working on the cover, and if you're doing something like this, make sure that almost on top of everything else you've done is the logo and the strap line so we can all see them, and that's easy enough to do. So we just make sure we click on it. So click on it there. So you can see the box is still there. So it's still there. It's just that this picture here is kind of over the bottom half of it. So I'm now want to tell it to bring that box right to the front so we can see it again. And you do that again at the very top. Layout. It isn't. It's object. Arrange. And you can see you've got all these options here. You can actually arrange anything any way you want to. So you can bring it to the front, which is what I'm going to do, because bring it to the front, and you watch what happens now. Now we can see it again, because it's brought it to the front. If I wanted, and this is where you can kind of change it, I could object, arrange, send it to the back. If I send it to the back, obviously now it's gone behind all the pictures, and we can't see it at all. So you wouldn't really do that unless you were hiding something. So let's bring it to the front again. Object, arrange, bring to the front, and now it's back to the front. So again, that's the one thing to remember whenever you're, and it's the same with your magazine spreads, when you're moving lots of images and things around, make sure that you haven't hidden something with something else. And if you have, it's never a problem because you can always kind of send it to the back. So again, one way of dealing with this. So let's go back to how we were. We were like that, weren't we? So that tree there was over that one. What I could have done, instead of bringing this to the front, I could have clicked on this picture and sent it to the back. Object, arrange, send to back, and there it is. And that's the same thing. It just goes behind the strap line. And there we have our rather weird, if I unclick that, the blue one, rather weird iMagazine tree special, made up of pictures and logos and things. But again, that's how you can start to play. So again, but it might be you don't want to do any of that. You just want to have, for your magazine, and we get rid of that, and we get rid of that, and we get rid of that. And let's just make this full size again. And there it is. And let's make it a little bit smaller. We had about 32, wasn't it? 32. And it might be that you just have a simple cover with one image on, and that's all you're happy with, and that's it. But you can choose to do with the cover what you want to do. If you did want to have a headline, and again, iMagazine don't always have headlines, but you might want to have one. So say, for instance, I want to have my headline saying trees. Just want that, a big word tree. So again, as before, so I went on my type tool then, and I've drawn a type box, and now my little cursor's flashing there. As you can see, if I go on, this just allows you to see the box. I think it's a bit clearer. If I go on my type tool, I'm going to type in capitals, tree, trees. Again, now to make it bigger, so I'll highlight it all, go up to the size. I'm going to go 72 first. I like it to be bigger than that, so I'm going to go. I'm going to type in over the 72, 200. Made it a bit bigger. Now that's disappeared because I've done that thing where it's too big, and we know it's too big for the box because that little red square has appeared. So what I'm going to do now is actually make the box bigger. So on my moving tool, I'm just going to drag it until it should, there it is, back again. So there's our trees. And I want this to be a different typeface. So again, back on the type tool, select the word. That goes this is quite an interesting thing, isn't it? When you highlight something, it shows you the negative. So look at that lovely effect on that. Almost makes the tree look a little bit like an X-ray or something, doesn't it? So we highlight that, just an effect, because again, as you highlight it, if we did this just on, if the word was just off the side here, we wouldn't see it. But go on. If we did it there, obviously as we highlight it, we just see it like that. But when it goes over a picture, it does actually turn the picture into a negative, which is quite interesting. So we'll put the word there, and again, I'm going to choose a typeface. That is. Now let's choose one that's, I like this one. It's a very long one here. So again, I need to make it's a bit bigger to make room for it. So here's my word. Bit far too big now. So it's an enormously long word, trees, that I've got here. So to make that fit, I'm obviously going to have to make it smaller again. So holding down Shift, control that. And then what I'm going to do here, because I've got these guides, see these two, I've got a blue line here and a blue line here, and I want my word to fit nicely between the two. So I'm going to go back on our free transform tool and holding down Shift so it doesn't distort it. Just pull it, and you can kind of see how I'm gradually making it go a little bit bigger, and then that might now be. Now I'm just using the arrows on the keyboard, move it into place, and you can kind of see now that hopefully the T here lines up with that line there, and the top of the S lines up there. The round bit of the S, you'll notice, does stick out a little bit more. It's sticking out. That's fine. That's what letters do. So not every letter ends in a straight line. And if they don't end in a straight line, we tend to allow the curve just to stick out. It's the same with letters that have a round bottom. So a letter O, if you look at a letter O, if you were to draw a line on your document with a letter O, you'd see that the bottom bit, the curve of the letter O, just goes a little bit below the line. It's the same with the bottom of a letter U or a letter S. But a letter, say an F or an A or an L, they will sit on the line. That's just how letters kind of remain balanced. So that's fine with that. And then just again, so I can move it. So back on my top arrow, my movement tool, click on it. I'm just going to move it down. I'm just using the arrows on the keyboard now, just to kind of nudge it down. I'm going to put this on the grass, and then I'm going to make it white as well. So again, I'll highlight, go back on the type tool, highlight all the text, and then here at the top, what happens when you're on the type tool, you can see here, so rather than it being a square of color, it becomes a little colored T. So it tells you that it's the type, and you click on it again. I'm going to choose, actually I'll do the side bit. Color palette up, color swatches there, that's it. Make it white. Yeah, again, hide the guides, and that's how our cover could look. So if you did want to, you can add a headline if you want to the front cover, and that would be fine as well. You might want to do like the same way as we flipped the pictures. You can do things with the type. So this might be interesting with David Carson, kind of thing maybe he'd do. So again, if you click on the type box and click on these little triangles at the top, you can have it doing that. So it puts the word backwards, or you can do that. So it puts it upside down. Again, you can play around with where you want it to be. What might be quite nice as well is just above the little triangles at the top here, we've got these two curly arrows, which, as you might guess, turn it on its side. So again, that might be quite a nice thing to do. So I might have my type now, because it's kind of a long cover, running down, and I think what I'm going to do is make it the full length of the magazine. So I'm going to, with my free transform tool, stretch it and stretch it so that it kind of fits like that. And then again, I'll just nudge it a little bit. Might move it over a little bit. Like there. So I can have my type like that. So again, you can choose to have type across or down, or flip it, or do things with it, or you can play around. And that literally is kind of how you learn it. You just learn how you can do things, and it's easy enough, so you haven't got to worry about kind of typing things in a certain way. Once you've got your type in, you can then play around with how that type works. And that's the cover. But like I said, the key thing to remember on the cover, even if you just want to have a really simple cover, the main thing to remember is that click on this second arrow down, click on the logo, and you can then change it to whatever color you want it to be. And the same with the strap line here. Change that as well. So it'll always stand out nicely against whatever work that you use. If we could go yellow, so say for instance, make that yellow, and then we could always make that yellow. So again, everything would fit quite nicely together again. And it's as quick as that. So that's looking at the cover to go with when we looked at the inside double page spread.